Well, it's noon, so we can get started. So, I'm Bob with Titan Tiny Homes.
With Chris, how are you?
Chris is the first person to move in to this area. So tell us, Chris, you've been here since August?
Yep.
Okay, so basically, there's other sites within this community or mobile home area that are available for move-in right away. And the cool thing about that is you can move in there, and then when this is all done, where we're standing, once this is all smoothed out and ready to be moved in, then you could just move your tiny house into the community and ready to go. Just to answer a couple of questions about the community that I know that people are going to want answers to. And forgive me, on this video we're probably not going to go through all the comments, because a lot of the questions that I have typed out and stuff like that are actually probably a lot of them that you're answering. And then what I'm going to do is I'll do another video after this is done and basically go through all those questions for you. So one of the biggest, hold on, we got a couple of trucks coming through. So one of the big questions is what would the move-in date be? And we're ready to have people move in as quickly as they are capable. Chris has been here since August and kind of been pioneering this whole process on the ground level and literally within arm's reach of this location. And later in this video we're gonna go to his tiny house, and you'll get to see where he lives currently and kind of get his whole story on how this all came about. This park, or this area, basically a tiny house community, is scalable to a couple hundred units. So that's one of the questions, you know, how many units is this capable of? We're going to start with about 20 or 40, and then from there we're going to continue to grow it. It's 100% legal, and one of the first places in, actually the first Chicago address where you could legally park a tiny house without any worry of any kind. So those of you that are boondocking right now and have to hide out from zoning, you can come here and feel completely at home and safe. The lot rent is going to be $475 a month, and then there's talk about doing more long-term leases as well and possibly reducing that rent a little bit. Included in that rent cost is your water and sewer, and then your electric and gas is billed directly to you. There's also cable and internet already on site. That's what this wire up here is that's your cable, phone, and internet. Each site can accommodate at least 2 cars, and each site has a mailing address and mailbox, which we'll show you in a second, which is right behind us. And then I got a couple more questions to go through. You'll be able to garden. The area is really safe. You can live here year-round. City's aware of the community because this has been here for over 30 years. We're just renovating and going to make it a tiny house community.
Yes, indeed.
And so the other question was that I've been answering constantly is, will they require a lease? So right now it's kind of structured on a month-to-month basis, but we're working towards more 1 to 2 year long terms. There's no minimum or maximum size to your tiny house that can move in. And you got to give notice of moving in. You can't just show up tomorrow. You got to let somebody know, either Chris or myself. That was the other question that we were getting a lot of. All right, so Chris, you want to take us to the mailbox? People are concerned about how they can people are basically concerned, how they get their mail and that kind of thing in this kind of setting. So
yeah. So where the community is, there's actually a really close mailbox spot. This is the main thoroughfare for all the mail in the community. So you just get a mailbox assigned to you and you come over and check your mail. I've actually already checked my mail, but I'll just show you. This is my box. Key. It's also, if you have a package, they'll leave it in a larger slot for you.
And then they just put the key in your mailbox,
correct.
Right?
Yep. So you basically can just check your mail if you have anything. I already have mine, but yeah, and then they would leave any larger packages in the larger boxes.
So just like any condo or townhome community that you would live in, it's all the same.
Yep.
The cool thing about this place is that the infrastructure is already here. The mail, the logistics, the location, the sewer, water, electric, everything's already in place. Now, I will answer one question that I saw come in the comments, which is how is this different than a mobile home community? Well, in fact, there is a mobile home community here as well. But the difference is that this is its own separate area that will be specifically designated for tiny homes. And once the community grows large enough, then it'll be sectioned off and be more of a private setting. But it is separate. It's completely separate. So you have this main road right here that divides you from the traditional mobile home community to the tiny house community. So right now we're breaking ground on clearing out a lot of the overgrown trees and so forth. And you can see all the electrical pedestals and everything are in place. If you look beyond this one row, you'll see a lot of trees and foliage and stuff of that nature. This was also covered like that just as of a couple weeks ago. And so we cleared all this out, and this is going to be phase one of the tiny house community. And as the community grows, back behind the trees, there's 4 more roads, just like there's 4 to 5 more rows of pedestals and infrastructure just like this that go up and beyond this. Now the cool thing about this place is, if you're familiar with Chicago, it's 30 minutes from the Loop. You work in the city, right?
Yeah, I work in the Loop 3 days a week and then out in the suburbs 2 days a week. So it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to drive into the city. You can do mixed, there's all kinds of different transportation options. There's actually a CTA bus that will take you to the 68th Red Line. There's also PACE buses around. South Shore Hedgewood Line is 5-minute drive from here, 15-minute walk. And that's a 30-minute train ride into the city and to Millennium Park as well. So it's very convenient.
All right, so I think people are really curious about where you live and how this all came about. How do we get to your house from here?
We'll have to take a walk down this way, but yeah, we can.
All right, let's go. So why don't you tell us about, how did your tiny house journey begin?
Yeah, so I've been, sorry, drop me. I actually did research on tiny living for about 3 years and lived in the city of Chicago and uptown and owned a condo, and I decided to sell my condo and move to Florida and actually built my tiny house for almost a year it took. And then I decided I wanted to come back to the city. Didn't know if it was going to be legally possible to do that. So I had to do a lot of research around how I could do that legally without boondocking it or being in somebody's backyard illegally. So I called around a lot of parks and found out that these guys would accept a tiny house. There's RVs here in the area as well, so it's kind of a mixed use area. And so I called several times to ensure that it wasn't just one person telling me that. And come to find out, yeah, they did. They would accept a tiny house. So I moved up in August, and I've been here for close to 4 months. No problems at all. No issues with anything, actually. No city officials. The park's been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it's actually a really convenient, easy transition. Easier than actually what I thought it would be going tiny. So
I think a lot of people make it difficult, and I think most of that is overcomplicating the unknown, right? Like what we don't know scares us, and so it helps to have somebody like yourself who can tell us about actually making it happen and so forth. You built a shed design, right?
Yes, I did.
That's cool. Why'd you decide on that?
Well, it's definitely more aerodynamic than some of the other models that are available, so it's easier to transport. Also, I like the shed design because I'm pretty tall, 6'1", so I wanted a lot of headroom, especially in the loft, and that particular design gave me that option. Also, the interior of this particular model that I picked was pretty modern, which is more my aesthetic. So that was kind of my basis around choosing that particular style of Tiny. I looked at a bunch of other options, but it was actually the best fit for me. So.
And you actually have a dog that lives with you too,
yes,
right?
I do. Yes, I do. Just a little one. But yeah, a lot of people have pets. It's been a great transition with her as well. Like, I was concerned with the smaller space that she was gonna not do well, but it's actually been a great transition for her too. So,
you know, a lot of people have pets and they're always concerned about how tiny house living is with having pets, and not a lot of problems.
No, not at all. Actually, here in the community, there's a lot of people that have dogs. They walk their dogs every morning. They also have cats that they keep with them in their houses, and or outside pets as well. So it's definitely community friendly as far as from a pets aspect too. So
I come from the real estate world, and one of my comments is always, you can never tell how a community is during the day, but you can always tell how it is. You can always tell how it is at night. So how is it at night here?
It's actually really quiet here. Having lived in the city before, it's kind of cool to be able to come out and look at the stars and not have a whole lot of light blocking it out. It's very quiet. There's not a ton of traffic around. It's really easy. There's several, I wouldn't say big cities, but little towns around that have plenty of shopping, and so it's just really convenient to the city to be in and out, and you almost feel like you're in a little town here. So everybody's really friendly. There's been 3 or 4 people that live in the community that have come by my house and knocked on my door and asked if they could come in and see, and so it's everybody's very friendly, warm, and inviting.
So oh, there's your house. So yeah, it's kind of crazy that we're actually in the city of Chicago and that you have a Chicago address. I mean, do you ever think about that? How, I mean, this is your setting, all these beautiful trees, and you know, fortunately you don't have anyone by you right now, so you got the free reign of this whole area.
Yes, indeed.
Do you ever think about that? Like, this is Chicago, like you're nestled in the woods here in Chicago. It's kind of it's a really cool idea. So why don't you, before we go inside or say hello to your,
she's gonna bark at you.
the guard dog, just explain to us a little bit about tiny living in Chicago and kind of how you kind of set up the house to take in the weather.
Yeah, so it's actually on a main trailer and has a Volstruck frame. So similar to how Bob builds with the metal frame, has spray foam insulation, so it has 3 inches of spray foam all around the entire walls and roof. And then the trailer itself has about 6 inches of foam in it, as well as foam board. So coming back to northern climate, I kind of wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to freeze. And in building it, I also did skirting around the bottom, which recently in the last couple weeks I've put foam board behind as well. You can see there's some stuff that I still need to paint as far as like underneath the stairs and whatnot. Still have to get stairs built, so
well, we can help you with that. But okay. Yeah, so by skirting it, it allows for it really to become like a basement or a crawl space area, and keeps everything nice and warm. Now, what do you got going on over here?
Well, I bought another piece of foam board this weekend to actually go back behind my tires. So I'm going to actually make sure that there's not a whole lot going in and out through my tire wells. So that's a project that I need to do next weekend before it gets too cold to work outside. So
now, how about the water? How do you keep the water from freezing?
So I have an insulated and heated water hose.
Okay.
And the community will come around and actually dig out underneath here before the winter comes and insulate around the bay, so that this, where the water actually comes to the hose, doesn't freeze through the winter. And then this hose is actually already plugged in into the house, and so it keeps the water in the hose just above freezing temperature, so that you don't have to worry about any issues with that. And then when building the house, I did heat tape on all the pipes going in, just to make sure that I didn't have any issues with freezing.
So the community will actually help you with some of with insulating where it comes out of the ground and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So would you say that management here has been receptive, helpful? I mean, how are things going?
Yeah, actually, moving in, I didn't really know what to expect in the park, but we actually passed by the office. They're available Monday through Friday. They're really convenient as far as like if you have any questions about billing or what amenities are available to you here in the park. And just everything about it, like they're so excited once they figured out that I was over here, and they're like, "Oh my God, you actually live in a tiny house?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And so they wanted to come over and check it out. They haven't yet, but yeah, they're very warm, inviting, friendly. And if you have any larger packages that can't get delivered to your mailbox, you can have them requested to drop at the office and pick them up there. So.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the same vibe that I got, was that, you know, the owners of this property want to really bring new life to it. Yeah. And so they were so open to, you know, bringing you here, but then they actually contacted me a couple weeks ago, and then we're actually part of the same zoning committee for Chicago. And so just the whole, as I've been talking with the owners of the area, it really came down to, you know, we want to make this as easy as possible for anybody who wants to go tiny and do this. So it's been an exciting adventure, and you know, it kind of, in some ways it's kind of frustrating, because all this work, 2 years, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, "Yeah, just come on in." And it was like, what the fuck? So anyways, let's, if you don't mind, I mean, I'm sure people would love to see your kind of take on the shed design. Hi.
That's Piper.
Hi, Piper. Oh wow, this is really nice.
This is very much like Shed Systems design, actually, almost exactly. I took some liberties, but it's very warm and inviting. It's about 225 square feet. I have a small storage room on the front side of the house that has a laundry room and just a little bit of general storage in it. Lofted bedroom upstairs, plenty of, because of the way the roof is slanted, plenty of room for headroom up there. And for more of a modern kind of take on it. So pretty big open windows, and a lot of room in here actually to move around, which was important for me. I didn't want to feel like I was kind of claustrophobic or anything. So there's 13 total windows in here, and just I wanted to make it more of a modern, clean aesthetic. So obviously all the walls are white, which is pretty far stretch from most people do, like really wood paneled stuff and other things. So I tried to do it as modern as I could and still make it roadworthy too. So
now oh, you are heating. It's heating, cooling by a mini split, and it does the trick.
Yep. So far, I mean, it's not negative degrees yet here in Chicago.
No, that's true. Look at this window and view outside, and the bathroom. So, because we've almost been on here 20 minutes now. What would you say would be the best advice to somebody who, they don't have a house, they now know where they can come within the city limits of Chicago? What would you say the best advice would be?
I would say just make sure you do your research, make sure that tiny's for you. I don't think that it's necessarily like that big of an issue as far as like building or finding a quality builder or doing it yourself, because there's so many resources out there. I mean, Bob's a great resource himself, but it's also it's like go tour one. If you have an opportunity to stay in one, do that and make sure that it's something that you can do. I mean, I adopted a minimalist kind of lifestyle prior to going tiny, which kind of is a big step in that direction, because when you move in, you kind of realize, wow, I really don't have that much space. But in doing it, you also realize you don't need that much stuff too. So the transition has actually been fantastic for me, and I absolutely love living tiny. It's simple, it's easy, I can get to the city in 30 minutes. It's everything that I wanted in a living situation, and that I get to be in Chicago as well is fantastic. So
yeah, I totally agree with doing your research and so forth. For those of you that have a tiny house already, and I know that there's people on this video watching right now that are boondocking in the Chicagoland area and are scared every day that somebody's going to come about and boot them, you can come here for $475 a month and never worry about anybody bothering you ever again.
Yeah.
And this, you can truly live your life the way that you want to and take control of your whole situation. The cool thing about this park is they are zoned for RVs, which most tiny houses fall into that kind of RV quadrant, and they also have a mobile certification. So the issue has always been can't go bigger than 400 square feet, and this whole kind of sticking point of having to fit everything within 400. If you are one of those people that wants to go tiny but is like, you know what, I don't want to go that tiny, the park will, you can live in a tiny house that's bigger than 400 square feet, and it doesn't have to be like an RV. Yeah. The park allows for both, and so as we build the community and continue to clear out all that rubbish and start to move tiny houses in here, as the community grows, that's when it's really going to take shape. Right now, it's kind of, we don't know what to expect. We want to see how it grows. We want to see how it does. And the best way for that to thrive is just giving you guys as much support as possible and as much information. So I know that a lot of people have asked a lot of questions during the comments of this video. I will do a Facebook Live video tomorrow. I'll post a pre-launch video just saying when we're going to do that. When I'm going to do that, I have to look at my schedule. I'm not sure exactly on the time. Probably in the afternoon tomorrow. I'll go through all these questions and then answer them on the Facebook Live video tomorrow. And also, if I have some time this afternoon, I'll go through and answer everybody's comments one by one. But I just want to say thanks, Chris, for taking us through this.
Yeah, absolutely.
For being brave enough to be the first person to move in here, and then also all the great information that you've provided. And the two of us will be working to make this as easy of a process as possible for as many people. There's no limit to what this can do, but I guarantee you that this is going to take us to a whole new level of comfortability as far as living in the city of Chicago and going tiny. So this is a Chicago address, 134th, a little far south, but South Shore Rail is 5-minute drive, 15-minute walk, and you can be in the loop within 30 minutes by car, plane, train, automobile, whatever it takes. And so this is really, really exciting. So if you have questions, leave them in the comments. You can also email us. You can email me directly at info@titanchicago.com. And if you have any questions for Chris, I'll be sure to forward those on to him. Thanks, guys, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.